It is plain to see that the Republican Party learned nothing from their defeat. I was laughing at the Republican debates in Columbia, South Carolina, even to the point of where the talking heads, the head of the Republican Party in Michigan, was saying that we need to start censoring Ron Paul because his remarks were ludicrous, bordering on almost treason, when he stood up and told the reasons why he didn't support the war and why we should get the hell out. But the problem is, the talking heads went ahead and give it to Giuliani because he looked so official during the 9/11 fiasco, because he got up and made a few speeches and looked official and looked like he was doing something. They decided, hey, he's our best bet to replace Bush because he'll carry on this stupid war effort. He'll be like Lyndon Baines Johnson handing over control to Richard Nixon, making sure we stay in that country for a while longer. Well, I am tired of the Republican talking heads constantly referring to people who don't agree with the war. And this goes out to you too, Neil Bortz. You say we're over there for protection of our country, to take the fight to the enemy. What enemy, when the enemy is the very people we're supposed to be liberating? When our so-called friends become our enemies. We're already hated throughout the world, and it proves it every day. Every time politicians decided to wage war, the American people are the ultimate to pay the price. We need to pull out of that fiasco before the end of this year. I support immediate troop withdrawals. We need to first start on securing our borders. I mean, even Ron Paul said, how can we secure the borders of Iraq when we can't even secure the borders of the United States? When 2 million Mexicans cross the border annually, every year. They even got signs out in Texas, it's kind of funny, that shows a man, a woman, and a child crossing the road. So be careful, because if you hit them, you're liable. It's funny. And they said, well, Al-Qaeda wouldn't invade that way. The door, you can't defend the front door by leaving the back door wide open and the wind is up. No sense on having security when you don't use it. And oh yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna probably say that, well, we sent troops down there for these to look over the border. Yeah. Funny part is, I had a friend of mine who went down there for those so-called exercises. Funny part about it is, they had to alert their Mexican counterparts that we were doing military stops on our side of the border. Had to know exactly where we were. So they were able to tell their friends, their family, their cousins where the American soldiers were going to be. So you can go like 25, 30 miles south, a little bit further down, or a little bit further up, bypass them completely. It's so funny. Our president has proven his uselessness in foreign affairs by invading a country based truly on a lie. A lie so blatant and so strong that his original Secretary of State, Colin Powell, resigned, never to go back to politics again. He literally walked away from a cabinet he helped form. But it's even funnier that our current policies are proving every day how the president is getting lower and lower and lower on approval. Yeah, you still got the CMT crowd from country music saying we need to support our president in time of war. They were the same with Richard Nixon during the Vietnam War, I remembered. When Richard Nixon showed up on the Grand Ole Opry stage, and they allowed him that we support our troops in Vietnam to fight the noble fight against communists. And I was proud to see the Dixie Chicks truly stand up and say, you know what? we're not like you. We don't think like you. You know, we don't support this war. We know what it was all about. We've seen what it was all about. They were trying to tell them to shut your mouth and be nice little blondes and just sing your little country songs and keep politics to the heads. Let their talking heads say what you're supposed to say. Just like Ron Paul, you got senator, these heads, head of Republican areas like Michigan and probably all over the United States trying to boycott Ron Paul from even speaking or discouraging him from speaking because they believe he's a nutcase. Well, he's not. He's been the only person for the past 20 years that has maintained the same track record. He is known as Dr. No, and for a very good reason. If it violates even the spirit of the Constitution, he is the only one to say no. And I remembered that after his second term as a Republican in the House of Representatives, that whenever it come up to re-election time, they would always support an opposing Republican candidate to replace Ron Paul. When he would run, he ran a grand total of 12 times for representation of his district. 12 times he's won against incredible odds, even to the point of being censored by his own party in Texas, where the Republican party in Texas had actually censored him, or tried to. Tell him you need to support, just like when the so-called war on Iraq happened. Dr. No did exactly what he promised to do. He voted no on these unconstitutional bills like the Patriot Acts. He voted no on the NAFTAs. He voted no on everything that the president throws. Every time the president throws a budget about the war and extenuation of troops, Dr. No said no. If everybody else would have done the same, we might not have lost 3,500 troops on foreign soil, costing and probably thousands of American soldiers would have been home not injured, defending our borders. And number three, you wouldn't hear about Abu Ghraib. Nobody would have ever even knew Abu Ghraib existed. A young lady like Lindsay England would not be serving time in Miramar. She probably would have been working in some food processing plant by now, doing whatever. But she would not be a criminal, not be away from her child, not be doing all this crap. I'm just simply telling you, America, it's getting worse. And then we don't have to hear our brave men and women of the service coming back in body bags. Oh, sure, there is less casualties than any other war we fought. 4 years on the 3,500. But those 3,500 were ours. And going over there to take the fight to the insurgents are going to keep coming. That's their land, and they're going to protect it as they see fit. But you're going to see more and more casualties when you start seeing your income taxes, your gas taxes, and everything going through the roof. But I hope you enjoy $5 a gallon gas, and that's cheap. Because that's on its way. You know, somebody like Dr. No would say, hey, let's start working on what's wrong here before we can work out what's wrong elsewhere. So far it's getting worse here. But I wonder, America, when are you going to wake up? You're going to vote for a Giuliani or a John Edwards or any of these other losers out there that's going to simply preach the George Bush message for 4 more years, failure after failure. You're going to get a Giuliani to look so presidential because he looks the presidential part. If all you're doing is just looking for a face show, then you might as well hire the worst for this country. Maybe somebody like Hillary or Obama or Giuliani or Edwards. They'll just be what the talking heads want. They'll continuously support an illegal income tax. They'll continuously support an illegal Federal Reserve. They'll continuously send fighting men and women to foreign